It's not a lecture. I don't do my discussion was a lot. So, Mr. Master said, tell us more about my customer. It's never to have enough time to discuss other issues. It's not 20 minutes, it's 7 minutes. 10 o'clock, 9 to social, so this is straight 10 past 10. So, as I did a topic the last time, it's about COVID-19. No must attend Kuluma, no must stand, but we are wicked with I'm a scientist, very funny ways of doing things at time, not only academics, but I want to receive a space for research, lines, whatever start, scientific. Apaka show officially what like you can succeed with what associate I'm a numbers as every single day I think within a week, I'm not exaggerating, from 20, but I said 100 Now, second of from 20 was a lot of the last time was about Sasi Bule getting my second Corinthians 4, verse 8 and 9. So the paraphrase of one and Paul is we are hard pressed from all sides. But you want to analyze the Bazarana, not from all sides, actually from the four sides. Which one? From within, we are hard pressed from within, from all the sides you can think about. But Ngomusaga Jehovah, we are not crushed. We are perplexed, but we are not in despair. We are persecuted, but we are not forsaken. We are struck down, but we are not destroyed. Discussion last week quickly went quickly went to ama vaccine, but nanicabanga ukuthi maybe sizoyivula ngokuthi makukhulunywa ngo-COVID-19, let's ventilate and say, you know, what comes to mind. Ngoba it's the first pandemic or epidemic of this proportion endiyaziyo mina in our lifetime. The last one that they mention is the Spanish flu ka-1918. Uma nibheka lana nibona ukuthi ukhona waseyikhona ngo-1918, if wayekhona kakhumbula ukuthi kwakusenzekani. All right, sizile bazalwane mama ukunene ukuthi umama wakhe wayeneculo ayihlala licule bakhumbuza ngomkhuhlane ka-1918 which had a big impact, kunama-similarities amaningi. And yazi ukuthi soyi-structurisha njani this discussion, should we look at rather the controversial things ngoba singenasikhathi? Singayithi open up like siqale kwi-vaccine because yona into i-controversial okwaqhamuka on that day. Yabona ukuthi there's a lot of suspicion around the vaccine, especially the COVID-19 one. Kodwa savumelana bazalwane ba it's not the only vaccines. Nalamakhadi la abantu abaseney'ngane ey'ncane omama uNkala nabanye abasakhumbulayo will show us ikhadi ekuthiwa i-Road to Health card. Lela card is all about ama-vaccine and ithi iy'ngane kufanele ziwathola until a certain age. So I'll stop here bazalwane. So with this one, yini le suspicion esinayo ngo-COVID-19 vaccine? Or asina suspicion, we all happy. Yebo mdala Madonsela. Do we have a mic bazalwane that's roving? Siyabonga Thabisiso susamisele yona. Sikhulume bazalwane, akuyona i-scientific discussion, siyakhuluma. The last time I said amanye ama-statements which might be controversial ukuthi ningalaleli thina sometimes sifunde ngemali yama-pharmaceuticals, bafuna imali yabo ibuye, sidayisa ama-vaccine, but it's controversial. Yebo mta.
Ngibingelele ibandla ngegama lenkosi yethu Jesu Kristu. Amen.
Amen.
I think I'm going to lay foundation for a discussion nombuzo obuziwe about our suspicions concerning the vaccine. I would say from my understanding of the situation, our suspicions, they come from a context. All this is happening within a certain context. Akwenzeki akuyona nje pandemic eqhamuke nje esikhaleni kuhle kungekho lutho olukhona sayibona isikhona, so we're trying to avert ilokhuza negative impact in terms of ilokhuza affecteka kwempilo nokufa. As Adventists, we understand ukuthi we're living esikhathini la ilokhuza great controversy is throwing towards a close emhlabeni. uNkulunkulu is putting together ama-plans akhe to conclude umsebenzi wakhe. Nesitha is putting together ama-plans to conclude umsebenzi wakhe at the same time. Just as uNkulunkulu enama-plans are laid down ngebandla, nesitha kanjalo has a carefully laid down plan about how we're going to close umsebenzi wakhe of deceiving, destroying, and stealing. So, number one, understanding that lokuza context. Bese number two, kungene I problem origins of the current pandemics. There is a lot of origin concerning ilokuza indlela efike ngayo nokuthi qhamuke kuphi. Akekho oyilokhuzayo oyivumayo noyithathayo ukuthi athathe responsibility. That is also another factor that contributes towards ilokhuza pandemic. Number three, kungene factor yokuthi kunezinto, there are theories or there are things that have been said by certain Lokuza institutions and powers ukuthi go forward emhlabeni there is a plan to achieve certain things. Number one is to control abantu. We know ukuthi the one world order is about the control. Having achieved that local, we know that there are many things about this is how we are going to control our numbers or control abantu. We know moving abantu to the cities, building more cities and all that, it's all about control. You cannot control abantu behlezi kuma rural areas. You have to put them together in cities. Sibona nala eNewcastle ama-plans okwakha ama-Lokuza high-rise Lokuza residential areas. So zonke lezo zinto they make iLokuza i-context i-pandemic eyenzeka kuyo very, very, very suspicious. And having said ukuthi ke there is also an issue ukuthi there has to be. So, for me, that is what creates controversy, and it gives me to experience and wait and see. To wait and to see, for me, is stand as an instruction. And let me not forget. Let me go back out.
Siyabonga Mdala Madonsela. I-mic asinayo kwamanje manje ngicela siphakamise izwi here.
Issue of vaccines, there was a documentary I watched amazing discovery of vaccines, but it was before. So.
Ndiyaxolisa ayasebenza amanye ama-mics ngathi there's other competing voices. Ayasebenza ama-mic maybe sisondele la kwi-mic osenza kanjani. Ayasebenza la? Yebo ma, yeah. Please, we don't want to miss anything. Noma uhleli la kulesi sihlalo. I'll just move away a little bit.
Ngilibulisa ibandla egameni kaJesu. Amen.
Amen.
Ngithi some years back, there was a documentary ngangiyilalele ku Amazing Discoveries. It was talking about, it was a research of doctors and all that, and the experiences that Americans have because of vaccines yabantwana. So there were a lot of things that they showed which were negative, abantwana being mentally disabled and all that stuff. So from that time, I had my kids, they were still young. Then I said, no, I'm deciding not to vaccinate them anymore. So I stopped at all. Azange ngiphinde ngibalandele lamakhadi la for vaccine. Yeah. Now coming to this one, I've also been following and making, it's not a scientific research per se, but I'm a doctor like Professor Veit, he's a professor, he's an academic. So he did a research about the disease itself, the pandemic itself. Now, there were things that he showed, this pandemic, it was spoken about, it was written about long before it came, or 2017 and all that. And Nalama's levels that we were having, like South Africa, or level 2 to 5, they were written there. We are so, and it was before last levels. And now I was more convinced the levels being introduced. That's the same thing he was talking about. Then later he spoke about the vaccine. So to an extent, that video he did, vaccine, YouTube, why keep from YouTube. So, but it was after Sengilonili, he was talking about how they made these vaccines, talking about fetus, that fetus, it's been new fetus of babies used for developing this vaccine. And then he's also spoke about the after effects of the vaccine and all that stuff. And that was before the vaccine. Now coming to South Africa, there is a sister of mine who she's a nurse in Maritzburg. So they were vaccinated born. So we are good. After sesitholele vaccine, kwangena mas SMSs engwatholile, and one of them it made me to be scared. She's an Adventist. They told her nigcine this code. It was a code. Nigcine this code because in the future you are going to use it. So safeguard it. So she was saying to me, yes, because who should mhlambe uthi akusiyi new world orders or introduce buying and no selling ngale code. So now when looking at vaccine itself, the after effects and all that thing, moreover, get it in South Africa, because ngazuthi Africa we are more like guinea pigs. Johnson uvaliwe e-US, and that's where it originates. But like South Africa, we are qhubeka, we are surgeons. Now, the question why do Americans stop here? Why githi wenziwa njani uqhubeka? Now it raises a question. So with issues again more developing, it is discovered now the vaccine it was man-made. It's not a vaccine. Illness, pandemic on itself. It originated from China, from their labs that they were experimenting and all that stuff. So anything warishayo on this pandemic and the vaccine is the passport issue. A passport issue, people are being given passports. More vaccinated, then you have a passport, you have access. And if you don't have the passport, you don't have access to anything, buying, selling, and this thing, it's not even a theory or something that they're going to implement. Countries like, I've got a relative who say, Israel, and that's Israel, it's implementing that, it's working as we speak. The thing yellow. Yellow. Yeah.
The passport.
The passport. Yes,
yeah.
It's working. Now, it concerns young Bengna. I'm seeing the church is promoting that we should vaccinate. And I'm happy, Dala Uguti, you said this thing should be open. So, because that is my concern. Considering all these things, there are many more that you can find, Google, YouTube and all that, regarding the church, the stand, yes, church, is promoting that we should go and vaccine. And then there are some that are preachers that say that is courtesy. Bonabati, we should not vaccinate vaccine. So there is that confusion, Yana. So I'm glad that we have this discussion.
Siyabonga bazalwane. Isikhathi manje is 15:15. Asikaqali, we're still talking about our concerns. Ngizokhomenta nje kancane ukuthi YouTube, there are authentic things, there isn't ezingekho authentic. In the scientific world, there are authentic things. There's a lot of things ezingekho authentic. It's part of a great controversy, bazalwane. Nivulile lana i-vaccine passport yakwa J&J inegama lomuntu ovaccinatile, i-date, i-lot number yale vaccine oyitholile, isikhathi, ID number yakho, EVDS, which is the data system abanayo, vaccination number, which is a code with one number in ibonayo la, and then vaccinatwe ubani, abese signer, a confirm a date for your vaccine. So zonke lezi zinto zikhona, and you are told that you must keep these things safe for future references. Whether future references, South Africa kathiwa awuzutravela, awuzuthenga, awuzuthini, but of course we've got our own suspicions, bazalwane. Umama has told us ukuthi it's being implemented kwezinye indawo. There's even something that has come up, ebenze abanye abantu ba-paranoid. Kuthiwa if you vaccinate, you're going to die within 5 years. The clock is ticking. Asiqhubeke ke bazalwane. So these are the things that come ku YouTube. J&J, I'll just comment ngayo. There's two issues there. Vaccine wars, that's number one. J&J ungene kwi-vaccine industry later than Pfizer and the other companies that were there. Waqhamuka esene vaccine A1, one soft dose. Now he's killing off a profit. Because abanye bati, you can get a booster at least once, which means it's 2 doses or even more, 3 times. There's money to be made there. So vaccine wars, ngendaba zemali, ngendaba ze territory are there. The big pharmaceuticals protect territory yabo. So that might be one thing. The second thing, out of the 6 people, out of 6 million ababe vaccinated so far, US about develop clots. It's the J&J vaccine. But it doesn't make sense, isn't it? If utata noma yipipilisi yase West, there's a long list yama side effects ku packaging set. Ukuthi ungana lokhu kuningi kodwa siyawathatha lamapilisi, and the percentage ka 6 out of 6 million, I don't know if mathematicians can tell us it's 0.00 whatever, and medical scientifically anything in a complication risk with 3% or less, it's considered safe. But babe sebethi no, in this case, some blood clots atholakala kulama vaccines are in very critical places, like affecting vision. They might affect bowel yakho, the whole bowel might go gangrenous, your lungs or your heart, so it's serious, or your brain is stroke and all these things. But scientists, they tend not to stick on one thing. If we try anything, any risk that's less than 3% is safe, they should leave with J&J alone. So it's on those 2 grounds labesa misile khona. Unfortunately, South Africa, odokotela and the nurses labaqalwe ngabo, it was still phase 2 where research. In South Africa, I believe, I'm not sure, we were not told anything, they did not pay for those vaccines. But doctors and nurses were used as guinea pigs. So if really, though reality, people will die within 5 years, then it means in 5 years' time, we might not have doctors or very few doctors and nurses in South Africa. But in YouTube, bazalwane, I'm not really taking it seriously because there's no backing. Akasitsheli lo muntu oyibhalile ukuthi ubani ukuthatha phi lokho akhulumayo. Aim yabazalwane is not to scare us about COVID, but it's for us to be aware. We should be aware. Adventists are known as abantu bencwadi. We should take lezi zinto sizilinke to a great controversy and teach the world. Sitshengise ukuthi lokho kufakaza ukuthi sekuyagoqwa kuzakhathi Jesu kwesibili kusondela, but we cannot afford nathi ukuthi sihlale in a corner and start shivering and bury our heads in the sand. Bazalwane, reality siphila emhlabeni, these things are happening. Sibonile isandla sikamdala uMadonsela, sikhona esinye isandla bazalwane, we have to comment isikhathi siyashiya ngo-20 past. Soqala ngomama uNkala, then umdala uMadonsela. All right, siyabonga ngombuzo. Delma Donsel uzomphendula amongst your comments. No, ungaqhubekeka mdala. I'll try and respond. I don't know which answers are satisfactory.
Phinde ngibingelele ibandla. Lokhuza interest yami enkulu ikuyi-context. Namanje ngizoke ngithi ukcreator noma mhlambe ngiyenze ibe more complicated. Kukhona udokotela uDr. Obomsa Win wase-Canada, is a Canadian, is an Adventist. He is a medical scientist. Kune-DVD, in fact, set of ama-DVDs la ikhuluma ngawo, la ikhuluma khona ngama-issues nje, scientific issues, ebuka from the perspective of iBhayibheli ne-great controversy. Kukhona i-DVD, I think it's the fifth kuyilokhuza kuyi-set yakhe, la ekhuluma khona ngama-infectious diseases, ama-vaccines, ne-immunity. Ilokhuza i-theme ye-great controversy bazalwana kufanele siyibeke eceleni masi-interpret izinto. uNkulunkulu usinikeze yona for a purpose, ngani ngoba izinto they happen within a-great controversy. Kuleyo DVD uveza ukuthi ama-vaccines are-introduced nini. Smallpox, chickenpox, or polio, bonke. Ukuthi are-introduced almost within a period, a span around about 10 years. Umuwahlukanisa. Abese veza ukuthi ngalesikhathi introduced lama vaccines. Lezi zifo okuthiwa asetshenziselwa zona in terms of incidents nokubulala abantu zase zimi kanjani. Almost zonke zase almost close to zero. Amanye ama-countries had reported 0 cases ngaleso sikhathi. In other words, through other means, abayibalayo, isolation of cases, improve ama-social conditions, abantu, or lokhuza, or nutrition, or sanitation, and all that, they were able to bring down lawo malokhuza, lawo ma-diseases. Kwathi la ma-diseases esephansi, then was it introduced ama-vaccines. Then quickly, the World Health Organization yayiclaim ukuthi ama-vaccines aqeda izifo. So the question enkulu iti, does the issue noma the concept of vaccination works in the first place? Noma ya introduced strategically, so that everybody will buy into the issue of vaccines because they know in the future they are going to use it for amalokuzi agenda yabo. Uquota is study esenziwa University of Chicago as a challenger. Yes, through the exposure to amalokuza, ama germs or whatever, you are able to develop immunity. That is how things work. But iqinisolity, you need exposure over a long period of time in order to be able to develop immunity. So uma expose once or twice, the question is, do you develop immunity now? I studied esesenziwa University yase Chicago la benza khona ilokhuza i-conclusion ethu uyayiveza uthi i-conclusion bathi ama-T lymphocytes, which is one responsible for immunity, they are very slow learners. You need to challenge them over a long period of time before they can develop a long-standing immunity. So now the thing is, looking at how it was introduced, immediately makwehla the incidents of amalokuza, diseases are introduced so that they can take ilokuza, they can claim responsibility for what has happened. Now this fact yoguti, once or twice exposure will not give you immunity. The question still remains, does the whole thing work?
Siyabonga mtata. Bazalwane, indaba yama vaccines, so far the story has changed. Qala kwakhulunywa ngendaba ye herd immunity. Ukuthi uma sekuvaccinate about 67% of the general population, then we should have COVID-19 under control. But as time goes on, that theory is getting disproved. Ngoba some of the people abathole vaccine have been found positive na COVID-19. Now the story changes, but okay, they've been found positive, but they won't get as sick as they would have been if bebengayitholanga vaccine. It might be true, we don't know, but generally I've looked at a diagram. Unfortunately, I couldn't project it. A diagram ye Spanish flu. The first wave was shortish, but it took a little bit more time. The second wave was very quick and very high. Yabisi dropango khawuleza. The third wave is in between the first and the second wave with Spanish flu. It's not as bad, but we're being threatened that the third wave is going to be terrible. If you look at the way Spanish flu went, it's the way COVID-19 is going also. They're following exactly the same pattern. The question is, then anyway, we don't know. I'm waiting to see, will there be a fourth wave? Will there be a third wave? But so that cannot be disputed is the fact that if we told a vaccine, you still have to socially distance, you still have to sanitize, you still have to wear the mask, you can still have the disease, it's been shown. Two colleagues like Newcastle that I know, babene COVID-19, they landed up in ICU, one will recover, the other passed away. The one who passed away had comorbidities, other underlying diseases. Or, be it diabetic, cardiac, or heart disease, or anything like that. So it shows the scientific world that does not know what it's doing, especially concerning this disease and other diseases. The other question is, do you vaccinate in the height of the epidemic? That's the other question. If you receive a vaccine for a flu, you don't get it in a flu season. You get it before. So if the season is there already and we're creating problems, I mean, there was a video that's circulating which makes sense. It made a lot of sense to me. And wesibili kwathiwa la khona these mutations in the places like Port Elizabeth on the second wave, yaqala khona this other H1N1 whatever, the really bad one, le ibisibulala neingane zesikolo iqale eThekwini on that rave party eyayikhona. But yaqala PE, and the PE was the site where research like South Africa yenziwa khona. Brazil and other countries also ebezine research. Look what's happening in India. Today, we had about 8,000 new cases like South Africa zabantu abane COVID. From last night, that's this morning's statistics. Yesterday, it was 9,000. Yesterday, India, 9,000 people died of COVID. Bebethi kungcono when 2,000, 3,000, 4,000 people were dying. It went up to 9,000. And India has got all the vaccines, all the research things we can think about. Senza kanjani bazalwane siyaqhubekeka, do we ngoba sesongena esikhathini sesifundo se-quarterly lesson, kodwa I don't think it will be right ukuthi siyi topic singakhulumanga sibone ukuthi sikuphi. I'm going to repeat bazalwane, akuyona i-scientific discussion le. I-COVID is affected sonke, all of us. I was even COVID positive on the 11th of January this year. It was a shock, my mind went through a lot of things, but I did not have symptoms are serious. I just had a sore throat and I was getting tired by the end of the day, and the Mediclinic told me, stay at home. So I stayed for 10 days without income. Now, COVID-19, we're not sustaining ourselves, Bazalan. We can still survive. Yeah, I'm done.
It's like value in the discussion. We not conclude exhaustive. Is it the revolution? Is the coming one? You need to have what the regular basis. I must not talk about exhaustive. So how is that the schools there are still lessons about 20,000.
Siyabonga mdala. Umdala bazalwane ndisinothile isandla sakho ma will probably sovala ngawo. Umdala is suggesting ukuthi this be an ongoing thing. Bazalwane, information is there. Surely we are thinking about these things. Where are we? I was even thinking to ask ukuthi bangaka abantu asebe-vaccinated. Bangaka bangekho sure. We need to confront lama topics as ibandla. So I discuss, yes, ibandla is not going to think for us. Final decision. But we should be informed and inform each other. Discuss all these things. We cannot afford to sit and fold our hands. This one is really affecting us, directly or indirectly. But agekho manje, go 2020 March, when I first stood up and talked about this thing, abanye abantu probably thought, we're just wasting time. It's a China land, izofika kanjani, but we're not wasting time anymore. Yebo ma.
No, I agree with the it's quite a similar situation, and there's so much to discuss. So,
Okay.
Because this is something that affects us on daily basis.
Yes, but as encourage bazalwane, let's contribute actively. Kukhona esingakufunda, there's ayikho into encane ongasitshela yona esingeke sifunde kuyona. Unfortunately, Tina, we've been socialized. I've said this before, but I've realized with time, we've been socialized the other thing. We sit with a wealth of information. No, I can't speak ngoba kukhuluma odokotela noma kukhuluma professor. Wait until you meet the young white man and speak with him. He says a lot of things ngesinye isikhathi ezingekho, but with a lot of confidence. Siyakudinga ukudevelopa lokho bazalwane, to be really confident and express ourselves. Contribute kuma discussions as now, so that nathi sizofunda. I wouldn't get offended if umzalwane tells me, "Oba, you guys are wrong. This is the way you should be doing things," because I've stood in front of you. I've told you are the scientific world is esiningi. Steta loku osiqhamisa loku ningayiprolonganga itopic bazalwane. India, I thought I'll say it. There's a group of lawyers at the end of May. They are taking a World Health Organization to court because they are saying ivermectin works. There is a proof out there, but it's being suppressed because it's cheap. There's a lot of cheap drugs. Gentian violators no longer used. Kodwa yayisiza because it's cheap. You're supposed to use the expense. There's a lot of other things. Penicillin, abantu are encouraged to say, bane allergic penicillin. Everybody, I'm allergic to penicillin. So this is not an allergy, but it's an agenda. It's an effective drug, but it's too cheap. The pharmaceutical industry is not going to make any profit. Ngizophela lapho bazalwane, ngicela sivale ngomkhuleko umama ukunena sikhulekele usisilindiwe. Amen. Isitya somnikelo asidlulanga bazalana, I don't know noma sizodlula ngesikhathi sesifundo lesi quarterly lesson.
No, ngicela ukuthi ngifacilitate kuthiwa ngifacilitate. So ngizokwenza ngoba ngiinstructive facilitate. Isifundo sethu is lesson number 11. Tuzama ukuthi sisipush. Okay. Lesson number 11 it talks about a new covenant sanctuary. Last week we sifunde about the old covenant and it's a particular and today about the old covenant. This week again, we are learning about the new covenant sanctuary. And then right away, I'm not going to define what is the old covenant because but we are going to talk about the new. So you see, in new covenant, I began from the old covenant. The old covenant ibi antitype yani ye new covenant. So siyazwana ngithi bazalwane mina nguthisha wakudala, so interaction ngiyayithanda please so that ngizobona ukuthi class liyezwa na lokho engikushoyo. Okay, let's go into the memory text yethu. Ngizocela oyedwa asifundele memory text masishane. Because each gist of the lesson, the entire lesson, it lies in the memory text, memory text. So celo yedwa ozosifundela yona or ngiyikhombela. Yes.
Kuze kuthi ngokufa okungenxa yokukhululwa eziphambekwenu zezivumelwano sokuqala ababiziweyo bazuze ifa eliphakade elathengisayo.
Amen. So tisithobisa amakhanda ngomkhuleko. Jehova olungileyo baba osekhaya ezulwini, mdali wezulu nomhlaba nakho konke okukhona. Wena uyikho konke kithina siyakubonga Jesu isithubo siphe lona ukuba Nkosi sizo share what you've taught us during the week Nkosi elungileyo. Siyabonga izwi lakho sifundise lona this week about the covenant ngokufa kwakho Jesu nokuthi kuyini ukufa kwakho nokuthi kusiphatheleni ukufa kwakho Nkosi nokuthi sozuzane kukhona. Siyakubonga kho konke baba ibanathi siyibandla nabantwana bakho endaweni ezahlukeneyo ngoJesu Kristu Nkosi yethu. Amen. Okay. All right, asingeneni ke ku esifundweni. Now ngicela siqaleni ngokuanalyze nje I-memory verse yethu ukuthi sitholeni. When you analyze the memory text, yini oyitholile wena? So sizwile ngithi ithi therefore he is the mediator of a new covenant so that those who are called may receive the promised eternal inheritance. Ikhuluma ngobani? Ikhuluma ngobani? ngoJesu, angithi? Yes. And ithini ngoJesu? Ithini ngoJesu? Ikhuluma ngaye, but what does it say ngoJesu? Ngizosikhethela manje. Brother Madonsela.
Iveza that mediator nokuxhumanisa ukubuyisana okwenzekayo phakathi kukaNkulunkulu nesintu esawayo sawela esontweni sasesikuza uphilo naphakade. iBhayibheli lithi-ke as mediator isithuli nasikwazi ukubuyisana noNkulunkulu through him ukuthi nasikwazi ukuthi siphile lokho esakubuza sasiswele esontweni.
Amen. So I can say isifundo sonke sigoqekile kule memory text. He is a mediator. A mediator is somebody who stands between the gap. Angithi kukhona okuhlukanisile abantu abawu-2 noma abantu abawu-2 ngasho njalo, and then there's this person oba phakathi nendawo ukwenza njani ukubaxhumanisa ukuthi kungasabi nani negap. Yes, uJesu ube yilokho, uJesu uyilokho namanje. Now isifundo siqala ngestory, istory sika Frank the printer. Yes, Frank the printer, he was walking and kwabamnyama sokumnyama, but ubezwa kunama footprints omuntu amalona kade ama footsteps omuntu akade njani emlandela ngithi ngemuva. Yeah, so uthe lo muntu me catch up naye wambiza ngegama. So umembuza ukuthi ubani wena ngoba ngikwazi. Yes, lo muntu uthi no nami angikwazi abazani bobabili, but uyasho ukuthi I had a friend. Friend lo yangitshela ukuthi he has a brother obani igama lakho Frank the printer. Yes, so ubengambonanga ubuso, akamazi ubuso, akakaze ambone nalona, but uthe embiza ngegama kanti nangempela uyu Frank the printer because ebona indlela abehamba ngayo, indlela yonke izinto abezenza ngayo angithi zisho ubani zeveza lo yamngani brother. So na kanjani wasethini ngoba umngani ubengekho angithi wasesho ukuthi this must be Frank what the printer. Yes, so isifundo sesizivezela ukuthi i-old covenant nani ne-new covenant. The old covenant yayiveza yayisitshela ngani about the new covenant angithi. Yes, so uNkulunkulu mekhuluma nabantwana bakwa-Israyeli uthi they should make him a sanctuary angithi. What was the reason for abantwana bakwa-Israyeli ukuthi bamenzele a sanctuary? Yini reason yokuthi uNkulunkulu bazalwane okunye it's not something that we need to go and sit and all that. Okunye as Adventist, sike sakufunda siyakwazi. I think we can comment, even if isifundo ungazange usifunde. I-purpose kaNkulunkulu ukuthi acela abantwana bakwa-Israyeli ukuthi bamakhele i-sanctuary. What was the purpose? What was the reason? Yebo. So that he may dwell with them. Okay. Dwelling with them. What does that mean? Because I think it's much deeper than Joba Sishonje, so that I may dwell with them. What does dwelling entails? Yebo mdala.
uNkulunkulu had the original purpose of reconciling human race. So it was quite speculated and law quality. So Remani is trying to restore the proposal original see what I saw. Uzohlala nabantu njengoba administrator creator on the 6th day kodwa spend in relation
So una entity is central is taking the first step to reconciliation. I want to come closer to you because we have the aim of bringing you.
Yes, amen. Yeah, uNkulunkulu wayefuna it's a step yokuthi athi bring the plan of salvation into reality. That's what God, because essentially it's about the plan of salvation. My uNkulunkulu so that I may dwell with you. Akafuni uNkulunkulu ukufuna khona separation between thina naye. So that's the reason uNkulunkulu wayethi so that I may dwell with them. And you remember before isono singena uNkulunkulu wayekwazi ukuthi abonane noAdam noEva nani ubuso nobuso angithi. So uNkulunkulu befuna that thing ukuthi yenze njani it must come back. Ngiyayibona lonto le because I believe ukuthi uNkulunkulu he can't stand in separation. Even in as much as nathi we cannot stand in a separation. Makhona ukuhlukana phakathi kukamama nomntwana. There is that thing ebakhona makhona ukuhlukana phakathi kuka-husband no wife. Izinto azibi mnandi angithi. So same applies nakubani nakuNkulunkulu. Is separation that was there because of his son. So uNkulunkulu he was now bringing the plan of salvation into what? Into reality. All right. Now, isifundo ke siyasho la ukuthi story that we opened about with ukusho ukuthi senzani siletha iqiniso, a powerful truth regarding Israel sanctuary service. It was not just ukuthi uNkulunkulu abe khona lapho, and even zonke lezi zinto ezazenziwa ku sanctuary, they all had a meaning. And all of them, they were pointing to the plan of salvation as a whole. And they were talking about uJesu, who is the high priest, the mediator between Tina Nobani Nunkulunkulu. Okay, now let's talk about Tuesday, Sunday, relationships. Ngizocela ukuthi osifundile isifunda as just summarize Sunday about relationships. Ngicela ukubona abasenzile isifundo abasifundile. Bangaki? About 3. Okay. All right. Mzala ngizocela ukusummarize le uSunday. Okay.
Okay. Kulokho okunye ubese kushilo uthisha ukuthi ku Sunday kuvele ukuthi kwakungani ngempela uNkulunkulu owayefuna ukuthi abuvuselele lobudlelwane phakathi komuntu kanye naye. And kwavezwa ke ukuthi if eveza ingoba into angazi ngizobenza but into owayefuna kakhulu ukuthi akahlale phakathi kwethu abe kanye nathi. Mina ngayibuka ngokuthi kwasevesa uNkulunkulu uma edala ekuqaleni kwakuwukuthi ufuna wadala zonke lezi zinto zaba khona ngo day 1 up until day 6, kodwa ngo day 7 umuntu owaba nobudlelwano kakhulu naye kwaba umuntu. So ngabona ukuthi into ayeyifuna ingakho ethi abakhe ithempeli ukuze ahlale nabo, ingoba wayefuna ukuvuselela lokho okwakuyinto angazi mhlawumbe eyayimenza abe ne connection kakhulu. Uthe uma ethi usiphumelele ethene ubudlelwane once kwaphazamiseka phakathi even nokwengane nomama nobani bengizitshela ukuthi usuyasikhava lesigaba vele.
Yes, it's about relationship. Angithi it relationship, it brings what? Two people together, angithi. And then kunezinto enisherayo in a relationship, angithi. Yes. So uma uNkulunkulu ethi tabernacle, it means to dwell. He wanted to dwell. Ubefuna sihlale together, angithi. And then walk together, angithi. Ufuna sihlale ndawonye, that means ufuna uNkulunkulu kube khona ubudlelwane phakathi kwethu naye, a relationship. I-relationship, it has got principles that sustains relationships, angithi. One of them is what? It's communication, angithi. So uNkulunkulu uyafuna ukuthi kube khona a continuous interaction between thina naye. Ubudlelwane obungenayo communication, what happens to that relationship? It dies, angithi. Yes, kuba khona ini nokuxokozela, because people don't understand. They tend to not to understand each other when they are not communicating, angithi. So kubalulekile ukuthi one of the principles in a relationship, there should be what? A continuous communication between the two. And then, okay, Mdala khona bokusho?
Yeah, and now we enter now into a relationship. uNkulunkulu sebelele ukuthi is trying to take our first steps towards reconciling what we have meant to him. And through the sexual service, uNkulunkulu is dealing with the problem in the relationship. I think Isaiah will show you somewhere 90 now. Izolizeno zimhlukanisile
Naam.
so uNkulunkulu ke taking our steps okuqala to reconcile us to us is bringing to Israel or to the human race through Israel indlela yokuthi lesihlukanisile sizofika kanjani. So iproposal is-central service ingakho kule meeting yakhe nabo esayinayo. So I introduce this. Okay, phela yayilokuzile yayaqala e-Eden indaba yokuhlala. Kodwa wayeseyiformalize esayinayo esebanikeza yona as into okufanele ingene yokubanikeza ne-sensual. Ingakho leyo muntu lokuhlangana kwakhe nabo esayinayo waveza indaba yokuthi sizoyilungisa kanjani noma sizoyilungisa kanjani i-relationship through dealing with the problem esolve. Abese futhi wase-introduce nomthetho wakhe ukuthi ukuyi-maintaina-ke le relationship yethu sizoyi-maintaina ukuthi imfundisi ukufuna indlela yokuhamba. So izokuba esayinayo sizokuNkulunkulu ezihambe to abantu uku-central service ezobafundisa ukuthi this is how I'm going to deal with your sin or sin, and this is how I'm going to make you together. As I say, it's a relationship. Since he's back here, this is how I expect to see me. So that is what we're getting through the and coming down.
Amen. Yes, the introduction yemthetho kaNkulunkulu ngoba yila uIsrael ayibona khona njani wonile isono wenze ini wesono through ini the 10 commandments, and then bese kuba yila eyibona khona as an individual ukuthi kufuneka ngithathe ini lo mhlatshelo ngihambe ngiye nawo kubani kumpriest ukuyovuma ini isono, because ngaleso sikhathi kusuke kungasekho ukuxhumana phakathi komuntu nobani noNkulunkulu. Siyabonga Mdala. Then let's move into Monday. Monday ukhuluma about sin and the sacrifice of this gadget. Okay, ngicela singeneni ku Monday. Nice Lord. Sure. Nayilona siyangixaka la. Okay. Ngibona umzalwane omunye olona tosifundile isifundo. Yebo sisi. Oh, okay sis.
Ngiyabingelela bazalwane. Ku Monday uthi sin, sacrifice and acceptance. La ku Monday sibuyiselwa kwindlela ye-Old Testament ukuthi abantu kuqala babe repair kanjani for izono zabo. La umbhalo wesifundo uyasikhumbuza ukuthi indlela eyayi appointed kwi testament yokuthi soni sikwazi ukuthi to get rid of isono esisenzile was to ukwenza i-sacrifice yey'lwane. So umuntu wayethi mangabonile athathe imvu ayise ethempelini kumpristi kwenziwe avume isono sakhe la kulemvu bese iyabulawa bese ethatha igazi ayolifafaza kwilento kuthiwa yini kwi-curtain laphayana lelihlukanisa indawo engcwele. Yes. So umpriest ahamba oyofafaza lapho. So yonke leyo nkonzo yayenzelwa ukuthi kwakuyona ndlela umuntu ayezama ukuthi abuyise ngayo ubudlelwane bakhe phakathi kwakhe noNkulunkulu ngoba isono senze njani siyamhlukanisa umuntu noNkulunkulu. So they were doing yonke leyo nkonzo leyo. So uthi ke uPaul ku-impossible ukuthi igazi lezimvu nelezi nkunzi ukuthi ngasusa isono somuntu. And ekufikile emqondweni wami ukuthi yazi vele le ndlela le yokusacrifice as much as yayiproclaima into ezayo uNkulunkulu ayezoyenza ngoJesu Kristu vele yayi-disadvantage because umuntu owaye-wealthy ngaleso sikhathi wayengabe ufili ububi besono asenzile because uyazi ukuthi umuntu uma ngabenza isono uthatha lapha esibayeni uyahambisa lapha kumpristi sekuphelile but ubudlelwane bakhe noNkulunkulu wasn't fully restored. Then umuntu owayengenalutho it means shuthi umuntu waye-rich yena ngazi ukuthi wayenethikithi lokuthi ungona noma ikangakanani vele uzokhipha esibayeni uhambe uyobuyisela kuNkulunkulu. But lo ongenalutho kodwa kumele ayiphathe kahle ngoba akanayo vele into eyayizohamba iyommela. Now no Wednesday uTuesday then uTuesday ke uwona ke osusiletha lana ke kwi-substitution ukuthi uJesu Kristu wazinikela yena ukuthi kube yena athi engenaso isono kodwa kube uyena oba umnikelo wesoni esikhundleni sokuthi kufe mina uJesu yena kwawuyena oyinikelayo ukuthi kufe yena ugqunqa kube emnyama komhlaba wonke mangabe uJesu efa ingoba isono sethu sasiphezulu kwakhe thina sahamba sesi-scot free sengazi ukuthi thina asenzanga lutho.
Siyabonga sisi. Okunye okwakwenzeka uma umuntu eletha that sacrificial lamb noma kuyini isilwane lesesincane ngoba angithi njoba usisesho ukuthi abantu babengalingana kukhona babefuyile kuwe able ukuthi they can bring the lamb but kukhona abanye because provision was made for everybody angithi yes khona babeletha ijuba. Yes, good Lord. Now, this is what used to happen. You would walk from where you are coming from. Remember, the sanctuary was in the center. The tribes Zakwa Israel, four nangapha. So, umuntu wayeletha mangena laphayana kuma premises e-sanctuary esiphethe lesilwane. Kwakungasi umpristi osenze njani osibulalayo but kwakuba wena onze njani osibulalayo isilwane lesi and then you would hold this sacrifice, this animal, this poor animal as is sinless and guiltless and hold it towards you tight until senze njani size sife Ngaleso sikhathi umpristi yana into ayeyenza wayeza nani nesitsha azokhongozela ini igazi until isilwane senze njani size sithule siphele kuphi esandleni sakho. So you can imagine scenario yonke le ukuthi what was happening. Usibhekile lesilwane sifa esandleni. Ngiyangibona mabebulala inkukhu. Mabulala inkukhu uthi inquma, does it die once? No, angithi it takes time. Ukwenza njani ukuthi ife iyagxuma yenza yonke lezi zinto na kanjalo ke lesilwane nemvu eyayiphethwe la. Now uma usibhekile because guilt yakho yonke yayitransferela kulesilwane, and nawe if umuntu wawubuzwa ini ubuhlungu bani balesilwane esenze njani esifa innocently, of which to me this was kind of a discouragement ukuthi nawe umuntu usibona lesilwane sifa kabuhlungu ukuthi ngingaphindi uma ngisuka la Nkosi, let me repent and not sin again, because ukubona kwami kwenza an innocent animal to die in a painful manner and sifela kuphi esandleni sami. So na kanjalo ukufa in a new covenant, ukufa kaJesu, ukufa kaJesu kwakuyisihlungu esingakaze sibe khona kuphi emhlabeni. Niyayibona nto le uJesu ebethelwa esiphambanweni, having to go through so much before ezayobethelwa ngisho ukubethelwa kuphi esiphambanweni. So yingakho ngegazi likaJesu siyakwazi ukuthi senze njani uma sibuka sifunda nangamehlo engqondo visualize what Jesus went through. Uyazibona ukuthi isono sakho how much it cost ubani uNkulunkulu as a father, seeing his son, his only begotten son, dying on the cross because of Tina. Angithi, yes. Ngibona isandla lapha yami.
So it's not as simple as having and not having. Abantu abanotho abathanda as being the more abantu get work, the more stingy they become. And that's we are about the system. So economically, it was very costly. Why the problem and culture all the civil prices that's the one I take there. So it was not easy. What the other comment with my sister, which is all Sunday, does not make the same card, and there's no card escape now. And my soul shall not abhor you. That's a very strong statement. Hates sin. And the word will never stop hating sin. But you see, as in there, the word is a moon with the sword. It's the system. And between years, which is substitutionary or the old covenant, is often supported. How do you, I was resentful, and I think I want to move the evil, and that's all I can see it, and example, and my own work, whether the book for them. So, now, Jesus, transparency is the same as I have never said it. If society is in the air, was saying he did not, his death was not sufficient for my sins. So it's something that's very serious as a sensitive teen, but to take home message as a very soil, and the woman is going to destroy the soil. Unfortunately, it's not narrative meaning, and they're not destroy the soil, but people who intentional is to get rid of the soil.
Amen. Okay, uma siphindela futhi lapha ku Tuesday. Uyazi enye into eyayibhlungu uma uyovuma isono uyokwenza lo mnikelo ukuthi isizwe sonke sasikubhekile. People will be looking at you. Uphethe leso silwane. Uhamba uyongena kuphi? Uyongena lapha yana kukulo. Kwithabanakele. Bese bebona ukuthi oh usibanibani wonile. Uyayibona lonto le, everybody were exposed. Unlike manje thina siku new covenant. Isono sami saziwa yimi nobani noNkulunkulu. Ngiya kuNkulunkulu ngiyosivuma leso sono kubani kuNkulunkulu. Even if it's a public sin engisenzile. But uma ngiyosivuma yebo kufanele sizivume publicly, but even between bani noNkulunkulu. But ngalesa sikhathi you were exposed all the time. So if you were continuously sinning when kushuthi izwe lonke belinjani belizokubona ukuthi uhlala esonweni lo uyabhubha esonweni, and there was no other way ukuthi you could escape uthi wenze njani uhlale ungayozivuma isono sakho, because remember the Jewish calendar had 360 days angithi. Then for bese ukuthi ngelanga lokugcina the 359 people were there to go ukuthi benze njani bayovuma izono zabo, kodwa ngelanga les 360 yila umpriest omkhulu ayeya khona esethwele ini izono zonke zani zesizwe. And bokufunela ukuthini kungabi noyedwa umuntu onze njani ongazange enze njani asivume isono sakhe. Niyayibona lonto le. So iyayinayo leyo nto le ukuthi expose futhi ukuthi lona ukuthini mbhekeni ukuthi uye kangaki. Uyayibona lonto le. Nanga how izolo ubeyile namhlanje futhi how nakuthanga kanjalo. So it was that he had that element ukuthi senze njani expose umuntu uma eya eloneni uma eyovuma isono. Now isifundo lapha yanenzansi sithi dwell upon the element. Okay, sorry, it's not this one. Cela ukufunda ke lo. Ithi put yourself in the position of someone who lived in the Old Testament times when they sacrificed animals at the sanctuary, remembering too just how important livestock was to their economy, culture, and whole way of life. What lessons were these sacrifices supposed to teach them about the cost of sin? Can we be able to, it's a question in the form of a statement again. Singakwazi ukuphendula lo mbuzo. I-cost yesono. And then bese siyaqhathanisa ne-cost yesono namhlanje in a new covenant njoba sesine covenant entsha nobani noNkulunkulu. Yebo mzala.
I realized that actually the system because we clarify in chapter 10 it is symbolic. Because more than the rights, there is sort of this program. Such a food, lower that she gave the instruction of the anybody who is less than that was not worthy to die who is an attribute of this. Inasmuch as you are in this reality, that's the day of those people. Who inspired from tell the people to share. If I do, they want, and you do not. Even if what was said about his life was not enough. That shows the price that comes. What we come to the right of the Lord, there is no mediation. Mr. Jonathan always took to a book, the novella of the home, che momento sempre non è sua si così a San Fede esperienze emangalisayo, in Christ, we can never fall. Which means we can receive, but God initiates a peace.
Yeah, yazi enye into njengoba the portion ikhuluma ngelona umbuzo lo ithi it caused them the important of their way of life. It was economy, culture. Imagine if ngizona esibayeni like us u-5 and then kunesibani and siyona sonke so-5 ngosuku olulodwa. That means funeka kuphume isilwane iy'lwane ezingaphi because it was an individual sacrifice. Umuntu nomuntu wayekhethela isilwane sakhe. So kusho ukuthi -5 esibayeni masu-5 la endlini. So asithi mhlambe sina 300. So kwakufika la ipoint ukuthola ukuthi isibaya siba njani siba empty, and that means economically akusena lutho la ekhaya, asena lutho. Niyayibona lonto leyo. So nakanjalo when it comes to the new covenant, you know, uNkulunkulu he emptied heaven. He emptied heaven when he gave us uJesu ukuthi eze azofa kuphi emhlabeni. Niyayibona ukuthi how costly sin is even nakubani nakuNkulunkulu. Okay, sebengibonisa isikhathi. Angazi ngivale noma singivale. All right. Ngizocela uSister Kunene ngoba ubephakamisa isandla for ucomment. Ngicela ucomment bese uyasivalela sisi.
Tina, ngiyindi engikele ngomntana abhekizwe. But kunesimpondo esikhulu bekunothando lasithanda ngalo. Kodwa kunesifunde futhi ukuthi kunesiyeke zona. Sikhulekele sibhekele nabantwana bethu ukuthi asifunde ukulandela uNkulunkulu ngoba uNkulunkulu phakathi into wenzakala. Umlandela thina ekufeni awukwenze leso sikhathi eside uphila njalo ukulandela uNkulunkulu ungafuni ukulalela. Abanye ukuthi uJesu wasifela siphamba pheli kodwa bona ukulalela uzokufe ukubhekana nesono ngoba njengoba engafuni isono uzufele phali ngaka kufuneka sifunde ukulalela uNkulunkulu sande ngomthetho ukuthi in aye Jesu Kristu ayekho noyedwa ayenza uNkulunkulu usifikele asibone lo msebenzi ongapho ukulalela ukuthi bese sikhuleke ukuthi masiphelele enyaweni zethu.
Amen. Asithobiseni amakhanda.
Ngoba manje seseshesha lokho ngifeka waziphela silandele njalo umthetho wakho uselelana namalungu ebandla ukuthi sabatheni selekelele besamhlaba wonke kudidekile ephokosana indlela nasana oyikhombile nokuthi kunzima kunempilo esekulandelile sihawuleleke ukuthi sesisefeni sakho la sisebakhona kusala abangalimi ngakalula sihawuleleke ukuthi sihlale
Amen. Siyabonga.
nawa umphefumulo wethu uyakukhalela ukunxusa kwakho Baba masikuzwe nxa kuphenywa izwi lakho nawe masikuzwe silungise thina bantu bakho nxa sibupha sibuyele lini lwakho. Ngiyababingelela abazalwane egameni lenkosi yethu Jesu Kristu. Amen. Ngaphambi kokuba siqalise isong service yethu ngizocela sivala amehlo masicela umamkala sithandazeni. Amen. Yebo mamkala. Number 285. 285. Ikhona indawo yophumla 2. Ikhona indawo yophumla kuNkulunkulu laphi sono singehluphe kuNkulunkulu oh Jesu mhle ngiyomhle ovela kuBaba siphase silindile kuNkulunkulu ikhona indawo emnandi kuNkulunkulu la kukhona umsindisi kuNkulunkulu oh Jesu mhle ngiyomhle ovela kuBaba siphase silindile kuNkulunkulu ikhona indawo yekhefu kuNkulunkulu lapho konke kuthe cwaka kuNkulunkulu oh Jesu mhle ngiyomhle ovela ngilindile kuNkulunkulu. Elasichulu number 215. Number 215. Ikhaya lethembekayo. 2. Ikhaya lethembekayo. Lapho kungekho inkathazo. Ikhaya libusisiwe. Sohlala siphunyuziwe wena linda ubekezele wena linda ungaze wasola linda 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 ungasoli nxa usindwa yimithwalo oyinikiwe nguThixo ikhaya ulizonele linda uzibekezele wena linda ubekezele wena linda ungaze wasola linda 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 ungasoli nxa usindwe yimithwalo khumbula kuyakhanda nxa inosiza inhliziyo yena wayena kanjalo wena linda ubekezele wena linda ungaze wasola linda 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 ungasoli noma kunzima kubeka ungakhohlwa kukhuleka kuseduze ukuphumula linda ungaze wasola wena linda ubekezele wena linda ungaze wasola linda 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 ungasoli elakho mamntoli number 244 Zakujesu, Zakujesu, Zakujesu manje 2 akusilalela umntwana oh Zakujesu okay kanje kuye woza kuye manje umsindiswa wosindiswa wosindiswa manje manje wosindiswa woza kuye manje unamandla 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 manje manje unamandla
amandla woza kuye manje cela kuye manje cela kuye woza kuye manje ulindele manje ulindele kuye manje. Ngcwele uJehova umhlaba nezulu kuyabonga mama mandla.
Sizothi sivala amehlo, babone umusa, babone uthando. Sibonga Nkosi ukuba sebukhoneni bakho. Sibonga Nkosi ukuba noNkulunkulu osinakekela ezikhathini lapho abaningi abantu belahlekelwe yithemba. Kodwa izwi lakho lisamile kuze kwephakade. Phinda ke Nkosi uphakame kuso sonke isikhathi empilweni zethu. Lapho Nkosi abaningi Nkosi beqonda izinto ngendlela ezingafani, kodwa thina siyakubonga ukuba udumo lonke lungolwakho. Sicela ke kwelihle igama lomfowethu Jesu. Amen.
Kulesi sikhathi samanje masothi siqala inkonzo yethu bazalwane, sizothi siphakame neculo number 33 sidumisa uJehova bazalwane ngomusa senzele wona, sangena endlini yakhe, sasinda ey'ngozini ey'ningi in the course of the week. Sibuyisele uzuko kuyena bazalwane, sikhohlwe yiko konke okwenzekile nekusezokwenzeka. Siphakame siculo number 33.
uJesu uyangihola 2 uJesu uyangihola ngawa kamazwi omusa liphansi ukho konke ngikwenzayo uJesu uyangihola. Ngicela silikhuphule bazalwane. uJesu uyangihola 2 uJesu uyangihola ngawakho amazwi omusa ukho konke ngikwenzayo uJesu uyangihola Jesu ngesandla sakhe impela ngizakumlandela mina uJesu uyangihola noma kumnyama kuthathu akuzo izikhukhula mina ngesabi lutho uJesu uyangihola uyangihola
ngizakumlandela mina uJesu uyangihola angisoli angikhali Nkosi ngizaqinisela kukho konke ngiyethaba uJesu uyangihola uyangihola Jesu ngesandla sakhe impela ngizakumlandela mina uJesu uyangihola nasupheli umsebenzi ngoJesu senginqabile angiwe sabukufa naseJordan wangihola uyangihola Jesu ngesandla sakhe impela ngizakumlandela mina uJesu uyangihola.
Ukuthi sifunde ivesi lomnikelo singahlala phansi bazalwane bandla. Sizofunda from incwadi kaMalaki 3 verse 7 siyophela ku-11. Malachi 3 verse 7 to 11 ifundeka ngolu hlobo from a King James Version. Even from the days of your fathers you are gone away from mine ordinances and have not kept them. Return unto me, and I will return unto you, said the Lord of hosts. But you said, wherein shall we return? Verse 8, will a man rob God? Yet ye have robbed me. But you say, wherein have we robbed thee? In tithes and in offerings. You are cursed with a curse, for you have robbed me, even this whole nation. Verse 10, bring ye all the tithes into the storehouse, and there may be meat in mine house, and prove me not herewith. And prove me now herewith, said the Lord of hosts, if I will not open you the windows of heaven and pour you out a blessing, that there shall be room enough to receive it. And I will rebuke the devourer for your sakes, and he shall not destroy the fruits of your ground, neither shall your vine cast her fruit before the time in the field, said the Lord of hosts. Inkosi sikelele ukufunda kwezilayo bazalwane. Lesi sifundo sibhekise kuthina namhlanje, even if it was written then applicable kusizwe sika-Israel that had excuses and commitments like we have today. Lokho esihlala sikusho ukuthi ngeba ndiyakubuyisa kwishumi kaJehova kodwa ingane ngeke ziye esikolweni kodwa ngeke lokho kwenzeke. uJehova lana kuverse 11 uyakuveza ukuthi thina sesenzile with our wisdom we don't have the ability to rebuke the devourer. Lokho sesizigcinele kona kuya disappearish awasikwazi ukuthi kuphelelaphi kuphelele emoyeni kodwa masingathemba uJehova ngakho konke esinako sibuyisane naye. Uma uJehova esekhona abazalwane uzosihlinzekela. nasesifundweni ekuseni nikhe nakuveza lokhu kodwa andikuvezanga ngendlela ii-economists sihlala zikhuluma abasitshela ngeyimali kuqala kwakuthiwa kufanele ubeke imali that's enough to sustain you elingana nesalary yakho for 3 to 6 months for rainy days but sibonile COVID 3 to 6 months is not enough. Ngesinye isikhathi kuba isikhathi eside before i-economy ithi go back. Manje sekuday I've even lost count. It's more than a year. We're almost 400 days if asidlulanga kuzona. And ama-economists will have to go back. So if usithemba okwemhlaba abazalwane naloku esizitshela kona ukuthi hayi if ngenza ngale ndlela I'll sustain myself. uJehova uthi cha asikwazi uyena okwazi konke. Asithembe yena sibuyise okwakhe the rest sikubeke ezinyaweni zakhe sothi siguqe manje masikhuleka. Bawethu samazulwini nasezindaweni zonke senkosi yethu uYesu Kristu siguqile phambi kwakho ngalesi sikhathi it's very uncomfortable ukuguqa kulinsuku especially on the concrete floor. Kodwa kufanele sijwayele ukuthi ngesinye isikhathi life is uncomfortable. Sicela kuyi-discomfort yethu Jehova usivezele nokuthi i-finances zethu might be uncomfortable nazo kodwa kufanele konke sikubeke ezinyaweni zakho ngoba kuwena nothing is impossible. Sicela ubuyise lo moya bawo isizwe sakho esasinako ba sokukuthemba bawo ngakho konke bawo size sinikele bawo ngaloko esicabanga ukuthi kuzosustain bawo ngoba wanikela ngendodana yakho bawo ekuphela kwayo uJesu Kristu. Isifundo siyasifundisa lokho. Sicela bawo sinikezele i-application bawo ukuze sithembele kuwe bawo ukuthi konke sekwenzekile bawo lizukise igama lakho ivangeli lakho lihambe bawo bekukusindiswa kwethu andule ukubuya uJesu ngenxa kaYesu Kristu inkosi yethu. Amen. Sothi sithobisa amakhanda masamkela umnikelo bawethu semazulwini nangumnikelo bawo osuke ebantwaneni bakho bazinhliziyweni ezivumayo bawo sicela basinganikezeli ngemali kuphela bawo kwasinikezela bawo ngakho konke ukuphila kwethu evangelini lakho bawo sicela ngalesi sikhathi bawamkele lo mnikelo bawo into ebukeka incane njalo bawo uwandise wenza ukuthi ufikelele ezindaweni ezohlukeneyo bawo la ivangeli lakho kusafanele lihambe khona bawo sikelela abazalwane bonke bawo abakhona lana yazazi needs zethu bawo usibusise bawo ngaloko kusilungele bawo okungazisohlukanisa nombuso wakho bawo sikelela nabazalwane abathe bangena bawo phakathi kwebandla lakho bawo beqoqa umnikelo bawo uthi konke bawo sekwenzekile bawo usindise bawo umuqhamuka ngamafezulu ngokuba udubuye kamsinya. Amen.
Happy Sabbath, church. Simbonga uNkulunkulu ophinde wavuma futhi saphinde sahlangana sisacela ukwamukela abangajwayele ukuhlanganyela kanye nathi uNkulunkulu anibusise sicela nizizweni sekhaya amen. Ukukhumbuzana nje bazalwane eziningi izimemezelo esinazo sike sakhuluma ngazo ngaphambilini ngicela nje ukuqala osiphathele inkonzo namhlanje ubaba uNkabini osiphathele amaculo kanye nenkonzo yomnikelo ubaba uMgele abazalwane abaningi ke namhlanje bazalwana bekho baye ngase Anali la kune Youth Congress khona ilokhuzana ekseni ubaba uMgele ubekhuluma ngeCovid so ke i-talking ngeCovid izokwenzeka on alternating Sabbaths okusho ukuthi kuleli Sabbath elizayo angeke izibe khona but elilandelayo izobe siyaqhubeka futhi ukukhumbuzana uSidasa ngomhla ka-19 which is next week Sabbath uzobe ehlangene at the Crane kuzobe kune Sidasa rally ngicabanga ukuthi kusame kanjalo kusase next week kusase the Crane so kuzobe kune Sidasa rally laphayana at the Crane next week Sabbath umfundisi uGumede ngathi akekho ungasekhaya balahlekelwe umamkhulu wabo emndenini so ke umfundisi akekho uye ngasekhaya ukukhumbuzana futhi namalunga eChurch Board kusasa umhlangano esasikhulume ngawo bazalwane usamile kusasa ngo 9:30 i-board meeting njengoba sasivumelene khona la ekhaya eBlessed Hope i-camp meeting noma ke kungesiyona i-camp meeting as-such bazalwane njengalendlela esijwayele ngayo umhla ka2 kuya ku3 kuOctober i-weekend esivumelene ngayo ukuthi sibe naleyo nkonzo ezosikhumbuza ngamadokodo because isikhathi esikuso njengamanje asizivumeli ukuthi sibe no 7 days we-camp meeting ngendlela ejwayelekile so ke umhla ka2 to 3 ku-October indawo esiyitholile beziningi indawo ebesiyibhekile kodwa ke esesitholile savumelana ngayo i-Upper Park Stadium e-Upper Park khona stadium esingale ngase Upper Heights ama-flat lapho isikolo ngapha nasi stadium ileso stadium esizosebenzisa ngomhla ka2 to 3 October inkonzo zihleleke ukuthi zihambe ngalendlela zizoqala ngo9 kuya ngo3 zombili lezi nsuku yiSabatha neSunday with from 9 to 3 zombili lezi nsuku lezi kuphakama amagama amathathu bazalwane ama speakers cabanga ukuthi azofaneleka ukuthi asilekelele ngalesi sikhathi lesi for abantu abadala uPastor Shongwe from TOC for youth uPastor Ngwira from KNFC uPastor Tsepang for Children Ministry so ke namhlanje ngiyacabanga ukuthi ila esisho khona ukuthi cha si comfortable ngalezi speakers siyazamukela noma cha thina besifisa ukuthi youth kuba usibanibani besifisa ukuthi adult kuba usibanibani or children ministry or anything different to kuloku okukhulumena ngiyacabanga kuseyisikhathi abazelwane benelungelo noma ithuba lokuthi baphefumule on that note ngiyakhumbula last week ukuthi usister uMasikhosana akekho namhlanje but ke I believe she had a different akekho bazalwane kuloko esesikubekile nge-camp meeting sisonke si-comfortable ama-speakers i-venue nako konke okunye sonke si-comfortable ngizozwa njengomkhulu amen ukuze siqhubekele phambili amen bazalwane siyabonga ngiyacabanga ukuthi bekuyilezo nje besikhumbuzana ngazo siyacela kuNkulunkulu aze abe nathi ngalesi sikhathi sizothola ukudla ukuqhamuka ekhaya ezulwini amen
ngalesi sikhathi samanje ukuphakamisa isitsha ukukhonjwe umunwa kaJehova ukusilethela ukudla okuqhamuka ekhaya ezulwini. So phakama sicule unumber 39 bazalwane. Dwala eliqinileyo. My hope is built ngesingisi, number 39.
Ujesu lidwala lami two. Ujesu lidwala lami kuye sindiso lwami ngingeze ngathemba kwami ngophoswe idwala lami. Ujesu Kristu lidwala konke kunye kuzodlula konke kunye kuzodlula nobumnyama buphambi kwami mangingozeli themba lam nesiphepho endleleni yami mangingalahli kolo yam. Ujesu Kristu lidwala konke kunye kuzodlula konke kunye kuzodlula. Isifungo siqinile kulabo abathembile nanxa mina ngidangele usungi. Ujesu Kristu lidwala konke kunye kuzodlula konke kunye kuzodlula. Nxa kukhala icilongo kuyena ngikhuphukele ngixokiswe ngobungcwele esigodlweni ngiyovela. Ujesu Kristu lidwala konke kunye kuzodlula konke kunye kuzodlula.
Indimana esizoyifunda itholakala lapha kuSambulo sifunda chapter 14 verse 6 and 7. Indimana esizoyifunda itholakala kuSambulo 14 verse 6 and 7. Ifundeka kanje. Ngase ngibona enye ingelosi indiza emkhathini wezulu. Inevangeli eliphakade ilishumayeza kwabahlezi emhlabeni nakuzo zonke izizwe nemindeni nezilimi nabantu. Isho ngezwi elikhulu ithi mesabeni uNkulunkulu nimnike inkazimulo ngokuba ihora lokwahlulela kwakhe selifikile. Nikhuleke kuye owenza izulu nomhlaba nolwandle nemithombo yamanzi. uNkulunkulu angathi angabusisa ukufunda kwezwi lakhe. Amen. God is good. God is good. Athi uMahubo, his mercies endures forever. Lana umhlabelele kade simhlabelela uthi uJesu uyidwala. Uma uJesu eyidwala uthi uMambuli namhlanje kunevangeli elifanele lishunyayele ezizweni zonke. Leli vangeli kufanele lifinyelele kuwo wonke amagumbi omhlaba. Uma sixoxa ngasemumva nabashumayeli sixoxa ngoMateyu 24 ukuthi as an Adventist church sinenhlanhla kuphila esikhathini lapho singafani nomkhulu nokhokho. Abaningi bethu banenhlanhla yokuthi bayalazi leli vangeli, balibone balizwe ngabazali babo. Uyafakaza kusisilindiwe, uyanqekuza. Ngokunjalo nomama ukunene ngalana uthi hayi sasihamba ngempela iy'ntaba sisuka kuleli khona siya ngapha nangapha. Abazange bayibone inhlekelele nazo zonke lezi zinto esifunda ngazo kuMateyu 24. Babeshumayela ngazo. Back then iy'ntshumayelo ezazi powerful kwakushunyayelwa ngoSambulo, uJesu ozayo masinyane. Makhulunywa ngoJesu oza ukuzothatha ibandla lakhe, and thina we are lucky ukuthi sesiwofakazi bokubona yonke lenhlekelele ekuMateyu 24. Uthi ke uMambuli ebhala ngezwi lika Johani uthi masesabe uJehova. Kukhulunywa ngokwesaba uJehova. Ngiyazibuza umbuzo ukuthi kungani kufanele kusatshwe uJehova kulesi sikhathi esiphila kusona? Lesi sixwayiso sikhishwe kuthina, yet ngalezi akhathi sisebancane bekunokwesaba. Abazali bethu babemesaba uNkulunkulu, and ngizibuza ukuthi laba abazali kwakungani babe nekwesaba okungaka uNkulunkulu ekubeni ukukhanya kwakungakabi kuningi kangaka. iBhayibheli ngaleso sikhathi sasalifundelwa umfundisi uNciki, umfundisi uMbokazi asabalala, and babethi mabekhuluma uthola ukuthi abazali bethu babe nezindlebe zokusaba. Zingekho lezi ncwadi ezazikhanyisa ngendlela ekhanyisa ngayo ibhalo, kodwa namhlanje ngesikhathi la khona sesizifundela khona iBhayibheli size singene kuzo zonke incwadi ezikhona eziyixwayiso. Namhlanje iBhayibheli lisakhuluma amazwi afanayo ayekhulunywa ngala emandulo. Lithi masesabe uJehova, simnike udumo. Namhlanje kusho ukuthi lesi sixwayiso bekufanele sisithathe nathi njengebandla likaNkulunkulu. Uma uNkulunkulu esikhumbuza ngezinto zasemandulo, ngezinto ezizokwenzeka, ngezinto ezizenzekayo. Uma ekhuluma uMambuli ukhuluma ngoJesu owayekhona ekuqaleni, okhona manje, ozoba khona. Now kukhulunywa ngesikhathi sokwahlulela. Uma silifunda le chapter yonke kaMambuli ikhuluma ngezexwayiso. Phakathi ke nendawo masizizwa lezi xwayiso kungazathi kunembuso emibili. Lembuso lena emibili ekhombisa ngokusobala ukuthi thina namhlanje bekufanele sikhethe umbuso oyiwona wona, and uma sikhetha namhlanje umbuso oyiwona wona fanele siqinisekise ukuthi ihluke ngani lembuso lena. Into engiyithandayo uMambuli uyamveza uNkulunkulu kuNkulunkulu onothando, uNkulunkulu osibizela othandweni, ongasabisi ngalutho. Yet isitha ngalana sinokwesabisa ukuthi one day sizoke siphile singasakwazi ukuthenga. One day sizoke siphile singasakwazi ukwenza izinto ekade sijwayele ukuzenza. uNkulunkulu osimthandayo nesimkhonzayo uyasikhumbuza uma sifunda kuGenesis chapter 6 kuya ku-3 and 5 ukuthi kwathi ngokwanda kobubi uNkulunkulu ayebona obabenzeka ezweni, kwafanele akhiphe isinqumo ukuthi akabuqede lobu bubi. Wakhipha inceke yakhe uNoah for 120 years. I-message yayigijima emndenini yonke ukuthi hey kunento enkulu ezayo uzamcolo ngenxa yobubi obabenzeka. Ngesikhathi sikaLothi indaba efanayo uNkulunkulu kwafanele athathe isinqumo ukuthi ekufanele aqede ngomhlaba. Ngamanye amazwi uNkulunkulu ayikho into ayenza engazange ayambule. Nakuthina namhlanje uNkulunkulu uthi leli vangeli kufanele lifinyelele kuwo wonke umuntu. Kuyathusa-ke indlela ivangeli elifinyelele ngayo khona kubantu ngesikhathi se-COVID-19. Ngisho nomuntu okade engalumfuni uNkulunkulu kufanele-ke ahlale phambi kwe-TV ngoba bekufanele awuzwe lo mlayezo. uNkulunkulu ubengaswele ama-means okuhambisa ivangeli lakhe. Unikeze leli chance njengebandla lakhe, kodwa singukuthi isimo siba worse emhlabeni, uNkulunkulu had to use other means ukuthi afinyelele kulabo bantu akade bemphika. Kuyathusa uma ulandela usuku nosuku kunehlobo zethu nabantu abathile ekade sibathemba ekuphileni, bebethi mabekhuluma ngoNkulunkulu kubukeka sengazathi izinto zinjani, akekho uNkulunkulu. Kodwa ngisho nomuntu okade engamqondi kangakanani uNkulunkulu namhlanje, nokade emgxeka kangakanani namhlanje, uNkulunkulu usivezile ukuthi uyena yedwa ofanele ukudunyiswa. Thina-ke njengebandla ke silokhu sikhunjuzwa ukuthi bekufanele simesaba uNkulunkulu. Ukwesaba uNkulunkulu kusho ukuthini? Kaningi uma sikhuluma ngokwesaba uye umuntu afikelwe ukuthi umuntu omumbi lo osatshwayo, kodwa uNkulunkulu esimkhonzayo uNkulunkulu wokulunga. uNkulunkulu wokulunga ngaso sonke isikhathi usibekele indlela yokuthi kufanele siphile kanjani. Uma simfunda uNkulunkulu ulokhu esikhumbuza ikhathi nekhathi uthi masigcine imiyalo yakhe. Imiyalo kaNkulunkulu kuye kuzwakale uma ikhulunywa ebandleni kulesi sikhathi la khona sekunolwazi olunzulu befisa ukuyibeka ngendlela eziningi, kodwa umthetho kaNkulunkulu uyiwona athi uDavide uyamenza ukuthi kubo bonke umzima adlula kubona ukuthi ufana nesihlahla esitshalwe eduzane nemfula yamanzi. Ngamanye amazwi umthetho kaNkulunkulu ubungadalelwanga ukuba ube ijoka kubantu bakaNkulunkulu, kodwa bewubekelwe ukuthi wena njengomuntu kaNkulunkulu uqonde ukuthi uma uthathela umuntu into engeyona eyakho usuyona phambi kaNkulunkulu. uNkulunkulu ngamanye amazwi usibekele imithetho ukuze thina sibe nobudlelwane obuhle nabanye abantu. uNkulunkulu usibekele imithetho yakhe ukuze sibe nobudlelwane obumnandi, sazi ukuthi kuzo zonke izinto bekufanele sibuyisele kuyena udumo. Kade ningi mangixoxa emsebenzini ngiye ngithi zintathu izinto uNkulunkulu ekufanele ingasimdumisa ngazo. uNkulunkulu usiphe ukuthi masicele. Kaningi kulula ukuthi nabantu ukucela kodwa kunzima ukubonga. iBhayibheli lisifundisa noma izwi likaNkulunkulu lisifundisa ukuthi udumo, ukubonga kuyindlela ekufanele thina njengabantu siphile ngakho. Ukuxolisa kaningi abantu baze bangene ezinkingeni ngenxa yani yokuphakama. Uthola ukuthi umuntu ame asho ukuzibulala ngenxa yani yokuthi ubona sengazathi uzolimala uma exolisa. Kodwa namhlanje izwi likaNkulunkulu liyasikhumbuza ukuthi uma siza kuNkulunkulu, uNkulunkulu ubedinga sifunde ukumesaba. Uma sisaba uNkulunkulu kuzoba lula nokuhlonipha abanye abantu. Uma sihlonipha uNkulunkulu kuzoba lula ukuthi sihloniphe izinto zakhe. Uma sifunda laphana kuPeter wesibili 3 verse 4 and 10 uthi uPeter ukhuluma ngosuku likaNkulunkulu oluzayo. Uma luza lolu suku kuthiwa sizonke sizobe singalindele, lizofika njengesela. Isela ke liyinkinga ngoba akekho umuntu oliplanelayo futhi alimemezeli isela malizofika. Isela lithuka nje ngoba uthuka ngoba ekseni yonke impahla yakhe ingasekho. uJesu Kristu uyeza. Sibonile lapha izintombi ezilishumi bekukhulunywa ngoJesu ozayo, kuza khulunywa ngomyeni. thina namhlanje siyakhunjuzwa ukuthi uyeza masinyane. Zonke ibonakaliso zisikhomba ukuthi useduzane. Owethu umsebenzi ke njengabantu bakaNkuluNkulu bekufanele sizehlise isitha uSathane singumkhohlisi singumqambi manga. Umkhohlisi onguSathane simbona ku-Isaiah 14 verse 13 kuya ku-14. uSathane kudala akhohlisa ngesinye isikhathi uthi uyafisa ukuthi athole indawo ephakeme. Nathi namhlanje kunendawo zethu esizibekela zona, kunezinto esizidumisayo. Isithu uSathane size ukuzosidukisa. Isithu uSathane sadukisa abazali bethu. Namhlanje uNkulunkulu uyasikhumbuza. uJohane uyasikhumbuza ukuthi ke udumo lonke olikaNkulunkulu. Ungakwenza konke ekugcineni fanele sazi ukuthi ke thina asinalutho emhlabeni. Ungakwenza konke kufanele wazi ukuthi ke uNkulunkulu usibekele izibusiso, usibekele izinto thina njengabantu bakhe ukuthi sibonakalise ubukhulu bakhe nobukhona bakhe. Ngamanye amazwi ke ukubusiseka kwami akungabi ukubusiseka noma kube yinto engizosishaya isifuba ngayo, kodwa ukubusiseka kwami kufanele ngibonakalise ukuthi isource ungubani. Ngamanye amazwi thina njengabantu bakaNkulunkulu siphila esikhathini lapho uNkulunkulu bekufanele simbonakalise ngazo zonke izinto esizenzayo. Uma ufunda uDeuteronomy 6 verse 12 and 13 usasikhumbuza futhi ukuthi uNkulunkulu bekufanele simnikezele udumo and uyena yedwa ufanele adunyiswe. Uma kufanele kudunyiswe uNkulunkulu kubiza thina njengabantu bakhe siphile impilo ebonakalisayo ukuthi singobani. Ikhathi eningi ke siba amaKristu ngelanga lengeSabatha. Ikhathi eningi siphila impilo siphilela ukuthi ke sibe bahle ngeSabatha, kanti uNkulunkulu njengoba kukhulunywa ngayo yonke lento ekukhulunywa ngayo kwi-COVID-19, uNkulunkulu ubesihlelele yona njengebandla lakhe ukuthi ukuphila kwethu bekufanele kube ukuphila okubonisa yena, and ukuze sibonise ukuphila kaNkulunkulu kufanele indlela esiphila ngayo siphile ngokumesaba uNkulunkulu, ngokumhlonipha. Ukwesaba kusho ukuhlonipha into. Ngamanye amazwi ukuhlanzeka nje kuyingxenye yokuthi thina njengamaKristu sibonakalise uNkulunkulu. Aqhubeke uDavide kumaHubo 119 verse 73 and 74 athi ake ubheke nje imisebenzi yezandla zikaNkulunkulu. Le misebenzi yezandla zikaNkulunkulu indlela awuhlobise ngakhona umhlaba. Isizathu sokudumisa sinazo ngoba sidumisa imisebenzi uNkulunkulu ayenzile. Uma uNkulunkulu esedalile eEden usegcina ngathi njengabantu bakhe, uyasibeka ukuba sibuke nje ukuthi usenzele ini. Ngamanye amazwi uNkulunkulu akukho thina esinamandla ukuzenzela kona, akukho futhi ekufanele sishaye isifuba ngakho. Owethu umsebenzi ukuthi yonke into uNkulunkulu asenzele yona bekufanele siphathe ngendlela efanelekile. Sikwenza kanjani ukuthi siphathe izinto zikaNkulunkulu ngendlela efanelekile na? Uthi ke uSolomoni kuMshumayeli 12 verse 13 and 14 uthi nasi isiphetho sendaba. Lesi siphetho sendaba wayese experience yonke impilo uSolomoni, and uma esezibona izinto zenzeka uthi ke izeleze entweni zonke nobuhlakana kade ebuqoqile ekuphileni ubuka ini yonke into. Uthi ke kufanele senze njani? Masisabe uNkulunkulu, sigcine imiyalo yakhe. Ukugcina imiyalo kaNkulunkulu une-experience uSolomoni kuzo zonke izinto uNkulunkulu imigomo ayeyibekile kufanele aphile ngakho. Wasuka walandela zonke izinto ekade zenzeka duzane ngenxa yani na yokujabula, ngoba nathi namhlanje ziningi injabulo esihlangabezana nazo. Yingakho ke uMambule esikhumbuza ukuthi kufanele sesaba uNkulunkulu kuko konke sikwenzayo. La sihamba khona kufanele sikhumbule ukuthi uNkulunkulu unathi ekuphileni kwethu, entweni esizenzayo kufanele sikhumbule ukuthi uNkulunkulu nathi kuye kungithuseke kwesinye isikhathi ukuthi ukwesaba sikubuka ngendlela ezingafani. Abanye abantu kukhona abasaba nje ubumnyama. Sakhula ke emakhaya bengekho ke labo gesi. Kwakuthi makufanele uphume kule ndlu uye kwenye indlu ucabange kaningi ngoba nanemizi yayithe uqhelelana kancane. And manje ziningi izinto esakhula zikhona, kwakhulunywa ngepoki, kwakhulunywa ngotokoloshe, kwakhulunywa ngani. Now uzibuze ukuthi thina njengebandla likaNkulunkulu, uNkulunkulu yiphi indlela ekufanele simesabe ngayo? Ngabe kusaba lokho ukuthi mangiphuma lana ngizothi ngiyajika nje ekhoneni sebengimele ngesibhamu bangicela ikhiye zemoto? Kodwa uNkulunkulu akanjalo. uNkulunkulu esimkhonzayo ulokhu esikhumbuza nje ukuthi yena imithetho yakhe usibekele ukusilawula, and uma silawulwa imithetho kaNkulunkulu kusenza siphila impilo emnandi. Kunabaningi abantu abeza esabatheni noma abacabanga isabatha njengendawo nje la khona kufanele eze ngoba kuyilanga lesabatha. Kodwa into emnandi ngesabatha lisikhumbuza, lisibonisa ukuthi sivelaphi noNkulunkulu. Isabatha lisikhumbuza ukuthi sibaleke kangakanani kuNkulunkulu. Isabatha lisinikezela ukuphumula okuyikona kona. Evikini ziningi ingozi esidlula kuzona. Evikini ziningi izinto ezithusayo esizizwayo. Kodwa ngoba uNkulunkulu esimkhonzayo uNkulunkulu osikhumbuzayo, uyasazi ukuthi siyabantu abanganaki. Uyasazi uNkulunkulu ukuthi sabantu ababuye babe nenjabulo engaphezulu, esenza le njabulo size sikhohlwe na ukuthi ukhona, esenza injabulo ukuthi yonke injabulo yethu ipheleliswe izinto esizibonayo. Abaningi bethu injabulo yabo ikubafana bafana ebholeni, injabulo ayabanye isezintweni esizenzele ngokwethu. Athi umuntu hayi uyabona ke uma sengifike kwi-last number yemoto, hayi ke akekho umuntu ongcono kunami. Kodwa uNkulunkulu uyasikhumbuza ukuthi namhlanje it's not about ibhola leli silithanda kakhulu elisenza singabe sakwazi ngisho nanokujula ngezinto uNkulunkulu asenzela usuku nosuku. At times kuye kuthuse uNkulunkulu ngendlela asithanda ngakhona njengebandla lakhe. Ngiye ngibukeke iBlessed Hope indlela ebusiseke ngakhona. Ubaba Madonsela uhlala njalo ekhuluma ngendaba yesikhathi, indaba zokulala ukuthi kufanele ulale nini. Uyazi uyizibuza ukuthi ngempela uma iCovid ibingekho usho ukuthi besingake sikhumbule ukuthi khona isikhathi sokuresta. Namhlanje sike zanikezelwa ukuresta ngenkani. And lokho kuresta uNkulunkulu uwade wasintroduce kukona kwisabatha lakhe. Ngamanye amazwi kuyathusa ukuthi nathi njengebandla likaNkulunkulu asizinakekeli. Yonke impilo is about ukuzijabulisa thina. Umuntu uma evuka nje ekseni acabanga ukuthi kambe ngenza malini namhlanje. Uma nje ngakwazi ukuthi ngibe nje no 100,000 in my account, uma ngaba ne1 million, zonke lezo zinto iCovid-19 isibonisile ukuthi mali no mali ekupheleni kosuku angeke kusize ngalutho. Ngamanye amazwi uyasikhumbuza umambuli uthi udumo lonke namandla nobukhosi kungukaNkulunkulu. Uma uyamfunda uRomans 8:1 uthi akusekho ukulahlwa kwabakholwayo. Ngamanye amazwi owethu umsebenzi bekufanele sikholwe uJesu Kristu ongumqalisi nomphelelisi wokukholwa kwethu. Ngamanye amazwi owethu umsebenzi uma uNkulunkulu esibiza usibize esenayo indlela ekufanele siphile. Owethu umsebenzi njengebandla likaNkulunkulu bekufanele silandele uNkulunkulu lapho esho khona sibe khona. Aqhubeke uRomans 1:5 asikhumbuza ukuthi konke esinako sikwamukele ngomusa kaNkulunkulu. Kuyathusa ukuthi ukuphila kwethu ziningi izinto esifisayo kodwa uNkulunkulu usihlelele. uNkulunkulu uyena osho ukuthi unamacebo amahle ngathi. Okwethu ukokuba simazise ama plans wethu bese yena esilawula ngoba uNkulunkulu ongumalusi wethu, unguNkulunkulu owazi zonke izidingo zethu. Inkinga kuthina sizithembe thina. Yingakho namhlanje sinabantu abakholelwa ukuthi uNkulunkulu akekho. Yingakho namhlanje sinabantu abathi uJesu akekho. Yingakho namhlanje kunabantu abaquestiona nanebala likaJesu Kristu. Ngobani na? Ibandla likaNkulunkulu lisesikhathini esinzima. Ibandla likaNkulunkulu lididekile. Abantu bakaNkulunkulu badidekile. Namhlanje uNkulunkulu uyasikhumbuza ukuthi konke esikona siwobani, sibelonga kubani. Konke esikona uyena osenzele zonke izinto. Besingekho kwisidingo sokuthi simquestione uNkulunkulu. Owethu umsebenzi bekufanele sibuyisele kuyena udumo ngoba uyena owazi ukuthi usiholela kuphi, uyena futhi osivikelayo. Yingakho uDavide esho ethi ake sabulutho ngoba yonke into uNkulunkulu ayenzayo uyenza ngenxa yegama lakhe. Ngamanye amazwi, uma uyisithunywa, uma uyi-representative, asikho isizathu sokuthi bekufanele sikhathazeke ngazo zonke izinto ezenzakalayo. Namhlanje sikhathazekile ngokuthi kwenzakalani, kuzokwenzakalani kusasa, kodwa uNkulunkulu uyasikhumbuza namhlanje ukuthi masingesabi unathi. And uma siqhubeka ufunda lapha kuJohn 14 uyasikhumbuza u1 verse 1 to 3 uthi inhliziyo zenu mazingakhathazeki. Uthi asingakhathazeki ngoba liyeza ilanga elimnandi. Uthi uyeza ukuzosithatha. Uthi uyeza ukuba asise ekhaya ezulwini lapho esilungiselele khona injabulo engaphezulu kwale. Athi mayefakaza uPaul athi amehlo awakwazi okungale. Okudingekayo thina ukuthi sigcine imiyalo kaNkulunkulu, ukuthi siphile indlela uNkulunkulu akufanele siyiphile ngakhona. Asikhumbuze uMateyu 6 verse 33 athi uMateyu, hey, kufanele siphile impilo emnandi, sikhathalele umbuso ozayo, sikhathalele ukulunga kaNkulunkulu. Ngamanye amazwi, oyethu assignment incane ukunikezela udumo uNkulunkulu. Oyethu assignment ukuthi uNkulunkulu uma esesenzele zonke izinto, abantu bebefanele babone imisebenzi emihle kaNkulunkulu through thina. Bese esikhumbuza laphana uJohn 17 verse 17 athi bekufanele siphile ngeqiniso. Ayikho into ebuhlungu njengomuntu oqamba amanga. Ayikho into ebuhlungu njengamanga, because amanga ungawakhuluma manje azodla wena impilo yakho yonke. Amanga azokulandela kuze kube segcineni. Yingakho uNkulunkulu esikhumbuza ukuthi singafakaza amanga. Kunabantu abaphila impilo angayazi, afise abantu bambone ewomunye umuntu engeyena loyo muntu. Yingakho imithetho kaNkulunkulu isenza siphile injabulo, isenza siphile injabulo engaqondakali. Kunabantu namhlanje abafakazayo laphana kulezi inkundla zokusakaza othola ukuthi yebo bavulile amabandla kodwa bebewavulela nje ukuthi badonsa amehlo abantu. And baningi abantu namhlanje abaziphose kulezo nkonzo ngenhloso yani yokuthi ayi nami ngifuna ukuphumelela, kodwa uNkulunkulu uyena uNkulunkulu wamacebo amahle okusiphumelelisa. And uthi uma usephumelelile umuntu ngamanga angakwazi ukuthi awahlehlele emuva ayoxolisa, kodwa uNkulunkulu uyasithembisa ukuthi bekufanele sinikezele udumo kuyena. Abantu tusa abafundisi babo, hayi umfundisi wethu thina simenzela izimanga, simenzela lokhu nalokhu, bengaqondi imfihlakalo ngalena yesitha uSathane. uSathane usikhohlisile kakhulu. uSathane ubakhohlisile abantu bakaNkulunkulu athi enikela konke onako uzuthengise yonke into ukuze uthole injabulo. Kodwa thina sikhonza uNkulunkulu omuhle nothembekile ongathengwa ngamali, uNkulunkulu osihlelele okuhle kodwa owethu umsebenzi nje ukubabaza amandla ezulu ngoba uyena yedwa osiholayo and usiholela ezimeni ezinhle. Uthi nanoma bukhona ubumnyama umhlabeleli uthi hayi uNkulunkulu nathi. Uma uya ku Romans 12 uyasincenga uPaul uthi ke njengabantwana bakaNkulunkulu bekufanele sinikele lemizimba yethu. Lemizimba yethu siyinikele ihlanzekile ngoba uNkulunkulu uhlanzekile, ngoba uNkulunkulu usithandile, ngenxa uNkulunkulu uNkulunkulu wobungcwele wenkazimulo. Uma echaza uJohane uthi siyombathiswa ingubo ezimhlophe, and uma uNkulunkulu kuNkulunkulu othanda izinto ezihlanzekile, bekungani uma siza kumyeni wethu esimthanda kangaka uJesu Kristu sidideke sifise ukufakela ngisho nezinto ezingeke zisise ndawo ngoba uyibekile i-master plan. Kwi-master plan yakhe uthi ke ewozani kimina nonke nikhatheleyo ngizonika ukuthula, ngizonika ukuphumula. Owethu umsebenzi njengabantu bakaNkulunkulu bekufanele simkhumbule uNkulunkulu lapha uma esibiza ukuthi usibize ngenhloso eyodwa ukuzobonga. Namhlanje siphuma ezimeni ezinzima evikini besinqwaba ihlobo zethu besinabahlobo bethu ebhedlela. uNkulunkulu namhlanje masiza kuyena sizombonga nje, sizobabaza, sizohlanganyela ndawonye. Kunabaningi abahleli emakhaya abangafisi ingabahleli abehleli khona, kodwa thina sinetuba uNkulunkulu azivulele ukuba sizobonga. Kunabantu abaswele ukuthi bazophuma bayobonga kuphi. Abanye babonga endaweni ezingafanelekile, abanye bakhuluma endaweni ezingaqondakali, ayokhuluma nabantu abangamlalele, ayothi Nkosi awungenzele nje inhlanhla. Namhlanje sinabantu ababizwa ngamakhosi abenza imangaliso, kodwa thina sibonga ukuba noNkulunkulu ongasidayiseli impilo, osipha mahala. Owethu umsebenzi ukuletha udumo kuyena. Uma sifunda uPhilippians 4 verse 8 uyasikhumbuza laphana uPaul ukuthi njengabantu bakaNkulunkulu kunendawana encane esikhohliwe. Uthi elokugcina bazalwane konke okuyiqiniso, konke okuhloniphekayo, konke okulungileyo, konke okumhlophe, konke okuthandekayo, konke okutusekayo, noma kukhona okuhle noma kukhona okubongekayo, zindlani ngalokho. Elokugcina bazalwane konke okuyiqiniso, konke okuhloniphekayo, konke okulungileyo, konke okumhlophe, konke okuthandekayo, konke okutusekayo, noma kukhona okuhle noma kukhona okubongekayo, zindlani ngalokho. Owethu umsebenzi ngiye ngiphatheke kabuhlungu uma siya laphana emngcwabeni siyoduduza. There's one thing engithuse kakhulu eminyakeni ngisebenza kulomkhakha engikuwona wezimali. Abaningi abantu babeka imali benike inyanga nenyanga, umuntu abeke 1,500, abanye babeke 2,000, bebekela ukungcwaba umuntu ngendlela ehloniphekile. Ngenkathi umzali esaphila uhluleka ukumthengela iphakethe lempuphu, kodwa ngenxa yokuthi ufuna ukubonakala ukuthi yena njengoba esebenza nje umzali umgcwabe ngebhokisi elihle, umenzele uthi uPaul konke thina esikwenza namhlanje bekufanele sikwenzisise. And uma senza izinto uyazi ngiye ngibuza umbuzo ukuthi yini ekujabulisayo if umzali wakho kade engajabule ngawe kodwa kutholakala ukuthi sekuqhamusa uzomngcwaba ngebhokisi elihle. Nathi namhlanje njengebandla likaNkulunkulu sinalento le yokuthi sifanele silifunde lelizwi likaNkuluNkulu, silifunde futhi silifundisise size sibe netifiketi ezinkulu zokuthi silifundile lelizwi likaNkuluNkulu. But my question is, lingenzelani mina? Lizongibeka kuphi? Uma sengikhona lana kufanele ngilandele abantu abathile noma kufanele ngiphile lendlela uNkulunkulu afuna ayiphile? Lana bazalwane, into enkulu bekufanele sesaba uNkulunkulu. Kuko konke sesikufundile, kuko konke sesikufundisile, kungakanani ushintsho empilweni zethu. Namhlanje sibuka abantu ngokuthi ubani unani enkonzweni. Asabuki ukuthi sizokwenzani lana. Kwangazathi uNkulunkulu bengasisiza ukuthi ukuphila kwethu, uma ekhuluma uPaul esixwayisa ngokuthi imizimba yethu mayinikelwe iyimizimba ephelele. Ukuphelela kwemizimba yethu yini esifaka ngaphakathi, yini esibuka every day. Lezi zinto lezi esibuka zonke insuku nesizenza every day ziyamdumisa yini uNkulunkulu? uNkulunkulu bengajabula yini ukuhlala nawe kulesiyo sithi uhleli ukhuluma izinto ezingaphakamisa igama lakhe? Kaningi kulula ukuthi sidlale ibandla, kaningi kulula ukuthi sibambe imhlangano, senze zonke izinto ukuze nami ngizuzise, ukuze ngizuzise abantu abaseduze kwami. Ngabe sisasaba yini uNkulunkulu entweni esizenzayo? uNkulunkulu ziyamdumisa yini? Ngiye ngizibuze ngemhlangano esibamba njengebandla ukuthi why imhlangano ibe mide kangaka uma bekufanele kukhulunywe ngoNkulunkulu? Why bekufanele impilo esiyenzayo kungabi impilo ekhuluma ngoNkulunkulu, ebonakalisa uNkulunkulu? Ntambama uNkulunkulu uyasikhumbuza ukuthi iqiniso, uJesu uze kuJohn 10:10 uze ukuzosipha ukuphila kuvame, ukuphila kuchichime. Ukuze kuchichime ukuphila bekufanele siphile iqiniso, bekufanele senze izinto uJesu Kristu ekade singazenza ekhona. uJesu Kristu uyasilungiselela njengebandla lakhe, usilungiselela indawo emnandi. Ngabe ngekathi uJesu Kristu esilungiselela, thina are we ready yini uma ubengafika namhlanje uJesu Kristu ukuba ahambe nathi? Uyasikhumbuza uSambulo 21 ukuthi ke kunalabo abanqobayo, kunezinto ekufanele sizinqobe. Kunemhlabeleli enguthandayo 196 ositshela ukuthi nje akhona amandla egazini. Uma nje ufisa ukudela konke, akhona amandla egazini. Namhlanje besikhuluma ngesifundo esinamandla esikhuluma ngoJesu Kristu oyiwundlu, uJesu Kristu ongumpristi omkhulu osinxuselayo. Kuphela nje owethu umsebenzi njengabantu bakaNkulunkulu bekufanele sikhumbule ukuthi bekufanele sinqobe ngoba uJesu Kristu usanqoba konke. Owethu umsebenzi ukuthi nje sizinikele kuyena ngeqiniso, ungazinikeli ngenhloso yokuthi ubonwe umuntu oseduzane kwakho ukuthi hayi cha ubani. Uma umzalwane uNkulunkulu sibeke kuba sibe abagadi bahlobo bethu, kaningi siyabaholela ehlane abangani bethu. Uma umuntu enza into embi athi umuntu hayi chakhuleka ngizokuhlanganisela, ngizokukhava. So uNkulunkulu uyasikhumbuza namhlanje ukuthi uyena kuphela onikezelwa udumo. Uma umthanda umuntu awusobe wanza into yokuthi umhlazise. Uma uNkulunkulu simthanda bekufanele singamhlazisi ngempilo zethu. Ngasekugcineni kuSambulo 14:12 uthi naku kubekezela kwabanjani na? Kwabangcwele. Ngamanye amazwi, ukuze sibizwe ngabangcwele bekufanele sizihlambulule ngani na? Ngemiyalo, ngemthetho kaNkulunkulu, ukuze sibe sembusweni. Isigijimi esisiphethe namhlanje sithi uyeza masinyane. Uma eza uJesu Kristu uzolanda labo abathe bahlanza ingubo zabo and labo abathe kuko konke okwenzakalayo bona bama eqinisweni lodwa, bama ethembeni elilodwa, bama ekwazaneni noNkulunkulu, bama ekuthenini babe isibonelo sokudonsela abanye abantu uNkulunkulu. Kangazathi uNkulunkulu bengasisiza sisadlinza sisacabanga ngakho konke uNkulunkulu asenzele kona, sikhumbule ukuthi usibeke ukuba sibe ukukhanya, usibeke ukuba sikhanyisele labo abathe basilela ukazimulo yakhe. Inkosi ngazathi ngasisiza ke sisazilungiselela ukumesaba uNkulunkulu, sisazilungiselela ukugcina yonke into kaNkulunkulu, sisazilungiselela ukubuyisela udumo kuyena owasithandayo. Inkosi nibusise. Amen.
Ngalesi sikhathi samanje sothi siphakame sicule unumber 33 again, sidlinza ngalamazwi esiwaphiwe eqhamuka ekhaya ezulwini asikhumbuzayo ukuthi kufanele ngaso sonke isikhathi sikhonze uNkulunkulu womdali wethu. Number 33, He leadeth me.
uJesu uyangihola. 2. uJesu uyangihola ngawakha amazwi omusa kukho konke uJesu uyangihola. Uyangihola Jesu ngesandla sakhe impela, ngizakumlalela mina uJesu uyangihola. Noma kumnyama kuthathu ngawuzo izikhukhula, mina ngesabi lutho uJesu uyangihola. Uyangihola uJesu ngesandla sakhe impela, ngizakumlalela mina uJesu uyangihola. Angisoli, angikhali, Nkosi ngizoqinisela kukho konke ngiyethaba uJesu uyangihola. Uyangihola Jesu ngesandla sakhe impela, ngizakumlalela mina uJesu uyangihola. Ngasupheli lumsebenzi ngoJesu senginqobile, angiyukwe sobukufa naseJordan wangihola. Uyangihola Jesu wakhe impela ngizokumlandela mina uJesu yangihola.
So thopsa amakhanda bawethu semazulwini asezindaweni zonke ngalesi sikhathi basicela amazwi othe wawawisa bawo wasuka ekhaya ezulwini bawo afumane indawo bawo ezimpilweni zethu omnye nomunye bawo siwathathe siwa-aplaye bayo kuthina asitshintshe bawo impilo zethu indlela esenza ngayo alungise ukuhamba kwethu bawo ukuze bawo nabasibonayo bawo basibone singamabhayibhile afundekayo ahambayo bawo sifakaze ubukhulu bakho bawo senze ukuthi sikukhonze bawo ngayo yonke indlela bawo sidumise wena singalethi udumo kuthina bawo nakwabanye abantu bawo sicela konke okusenzele bawo uthi sizothi siphume bawo sustain bawo sikhusele bawo size sibonane ngesabatha elizayo bawo uma singabonananga bawo sibe sesibonana uma suqhamuka bawo emkhathini bawo sisikuhlangabeza bawo sithi nansi inkosi yethu ekade bawo siyidumisa bawo siyilindele bawo sikelele nabantwana bakho abangakwazanga ufika bawo kulezi nkonzo bawo nabakwezinye indawo bawo uyazazi challenges zethu sonke silebandla bawo sicela bawo konke okusenzele bawo kuzukisa igama lakho babe ukusindiswa kwethu bawo ngokade abuye uJesu obuya kamsinya. Amen.
Number 170. Menzimbusi wami 2. Menzimbusi wami ngiyaphila ngawe ukupha kwakho ngumthomo wesibusiso zami ukupha kwakho ngumthomo wesibusiso zami mina sidalwa sakho ngiyaphila ngawe Nkosi izibusiso zakho zidlula ukubonga Nkosi izibusiso zakho zidlula ukubonga Nkosi ngingenzani konke kungokwakho uthando lwakho malibongwe okuncane kwami uthando lwakho malibongwe okuncane kwami vusa umoya wami Amusa izwi nesifiso sami izwi nesifiso sami magube